We're making bone broth. Okay, chicken's next. Okay, so I took the chicken out of the package. You can see I've got the organs over there on the side and a little fat that I cut off. And then here's the chicken that's been rinsed. I always put that in the crock pot first. That tells me how much room I have. I don't have a huge crock pot. So I'm going to bring the crock pot inside over here because I don't want to drip the chicken all over the counter. So let me do that. Alright, so the chicken is going to go from there to there. And then we will get started on all of the vegetables. Everything out to peel the vegetables to bake the bone broth. And I picked the oldest potatoes that I had, and they're small. It'll take a minute, but I don't mind cutting those up. There's onions, carrots, celery. I'm going to put some vinegar. I have some turmeric. You'll see all that. And of course, my knife and my peeler. Okay, so I have all of the vegetables in here. You can see that they're covering the chicken. I have 1 whole onion. I have probably 5 or 6, excuse me, 5 or 6 cloves of garlic. 4 stalks of celery, 6 carrots, and I'm getting ready to pour some water in. I've got about 3 cups in here, but I might need some more. I'm actually going to just cover this in water. Yeah, I probably need a couple more cups. Okay, let's pour a couple more in here. You can see the water's rising. Yep, perfect. So that's where it needs to be. It's coming right up to the top. I'm going to go ahead and cook this on high for 6 hours. Once I cook this on high for 6 hours, I'm going to go ahead and take the chicken out, the actual meat out. And then I will take the bones, put them back in here with the vegetables, and put the vinegar in and the turmeric in, and I'll let that cook down for actual bone broth. And we'll have the meat from the chicken. We'll have some tonight, and we'll have some probably the next day, maybe even the next day. So, okay, so Brianna actually got me trying to take the whole chicken out of the crock pot, and it wasn't pretty, and then she's still filming. So this is what it is. It doesn't even look like a whole chicken because it is literally falling off the bone. So I'm going to take all the meat off of this and put the bones back in and break some of the bones up, put a little vinegar in, put some turmeric in, and then I'm going to actually have some bone broth. But of course, before I do that, I think it's time for a Rice Krispie treat.
Taste test.
So I just want to show you that here's the entire chicken, right? The only thing that I've taken apart is one breast that I shredded. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this meat and I'm going to use it in some other meals. So a lot of times people say to me, how do you take one piece of chicken and stretch it to a meal for a family of 5? Well, I don't know how big this looks to you. I mean, this is my hand. I guess I don't have very big hands, but if I take my hand, I can't even cover all of that meat completely. Do you see what I'm saying? There's some still coming out of it. And it's mounded up. Like if I wanted to hold it, I couldn't even probably hold it all in my hand. So to me, that's just a lot of meat. I mean, that is like an entire pot of soup right there. I mean, it's just really a lot of meat. And I didn't shred it finely. If I shredded it more finely, I mean, that's easily a pot of soup. I mean, I'd probably use another breast's worth or another amount of chicken, maybe about half of this amount, to make like chicken fajitas or chicken tacos or things like that, especially if you're stuffing like peppers and onions and rice and different things inside of them too. So I just wanted to show you how much meat came off of one breast. I still have so much more to pick off the bones, but it's just something for you to consider when you're making. A lot of times I know people serve one breast to each individual member of their family, and that is just so much meat. So anyway, just throwing that out there. Okay, so here's all the meat that I have, and it's mounded up pretty high. I can kind of get my hand around it that far. So I'm going to divide that up, and you can see the pan is completely empty. I threw all the bones and the gristle and everything back in there. And I'm going to take about a tablespoon of this distilled white vinegar and a tablespoon or 2 of this ground turmeric and put that in here, stir it up, and that's going to sit in here. I'm going to put it on low for probably another, I don't know, 10 hours or so. So I'm gonna do that, and then we'll have some good bone broth. I'm gonna strain it after that, and we'll have it. It's gonna be pretty late at night, but we're getting it done. So this is how much I'm gonna keep, a little more than my hands, probably about 1 breast worth for tonight's dinner. And then I have 2 big bags, way more than that, that I'm gonna put in the freezer. One I might use, I don't know what I'm gonna use them for, to be honest with you. I haven't decided yet, but I'm gonna make a plan. I'm thinking about like maybe a chicken pot pie. I'm thinking about a white bean chili. I got a couple ideas, but I haven't 100% decided on either of them. But I'm gonna put them in the freezer, so I'll have them. I'm gonna tie this, wrap it in plastic wrap, and it'll be in the freezer. And I actually have in the freezer already from the other day. Remember I made that ground beef? It's right here. I have a couple of pre-cooked ground beef. So I'll have pre-cooked ground beef, pre-cooked chicken, just sitting in my freezer. And I don't know if I mentioned it to you, but this whole chicken here was one of the ones that Brian bought for me on clearance, and it was like $2 or $3 for a whole chicken. So I'll have a whole meal's worth of chicken, 3 different meals for about $3, so $1 a piece. So that worked out to be a really good deal. Okay, so I finished the bone broth, and I went ahead and put it in these cans. And from this entire crock pot of bone broth, I ended up with a couple of things. I ended up with these 2 jars of actual broth. And what I did was I used this filling thing. I'm sure it has a name. I forget what it is. And I put it in there. And then I put this strainer, this mesh strainer in here. And then I just scooped it out and strained it and kept rinsing the strainer as I needed to. There is still some sediment in the bottom. I don't know if you can see that down there. Some thicker pieces. But that doesn't bother me. I got most of the super thick stuff out. And of course the real fat has settled up at the top. I know I'm going fast, but you can see it there. But it looks like good, healthy bone broth. It's been sitting in the fridge for a little while. So you can see it. And I'll show you what else I got from the bone broth. Okay, I kept all of the bones and the vegetables. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with them yet. If I had an animal, obviously I'd probably give them to animals, even though most of the goodness is taken out of them, might be useful. I think what I might actually do is bury it. I don't know. I'm trying to enrich my soil. I think there's still enough nutrients left in it probably that it would do something if I buried it and let it sit for quite a while. Obviously, because it has meat in it, it's going to have to be buried pretty deep in order to not draw any other animals. But anyway, but that's okay. I think it's worth experimenting on. I mean, it's here, why not? And I have boys, so yay. I did, on the other hand, take out the potatoes, and I'm going to keep the potatoes and use them in another dish, and I'll tell you why. Even though the broth does take all of the nutrients out, I think potatoes, and this is just my opinion, what do I know? I don't know anything, just my opinion. I think the potatoes do absorb some of the good nutrients. So I'm going to use them in a dish. I'm not sure what yet, but I'm going to use them because they're good potatoes, and that's just how I feel about that. So all of the other vegetables are in this container, getting ready to go somewhere else. I just think potatoes absorb nutrients a little better. So even though it was in the bone broth, and the bone broth, there was the vinegar and the acid and all of that, I still think I'm gonna use potatoes for something. So they're not gonna go to waste. The rest of the stuff, I just don't feel good about using it. So that's what came out of my bone broth pot. I got some potatoes and that much bone broth. So what am I gonna do with the bone broth? Well, I could use it to make another dish. You can see it's kind of, this one is kind of jelly-like. I don't know if you can see that on the inside. Let me see. Yeah, you can see it on this one a little bit. So I can use it to cook with, but what I really like to do with it is just get a glass of it in the morning and kind of enjoy it like tea almost. Just sip it down. It's really tasty, believe it or not. So that is the bone broth. And I hope you all enjoyed seeing what I do with my bone broth and how I make it. And let me know what you think about it. Have you made bone broth? Do you do it a different way? Let me know. I'd love to hear about it. So thanks you all for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.